I've received many compliments on my YouTube channel background, as well as questions about how I designed certain aspects of the background. So I thought I would give a quick tutorial on how I made this graphic, as well as provide you with a template to get you started creating a custom-made background of your very own. Although YouTube has recently implemented changes in their channel design, I personally hate the changes YouTube keeps making to their homepage as well as other aspects of the YouTube layout. Therefore, this tutorial only pertains to the old channel layout, which I feel is much easier to navigate, more easily conveys the channel information, and so on. First, you'll need to download my template so you can easily follow along with this tutorial. The link can be found in the video description, or you can visit the download section on discoveringreligion.net. Once you have downloaded the template, open up the .psd file in Photoshop. When you open up the template, you'll see a multicolored background with some black boxes. The reason for the different colors is to make it easier to see how the background will display on YouTube at various degrees of zoom. To see what I mean, let's upload the template to YouTube so we can see what it looks like before we start to customize it. To do this, go to File, then Save As. Save it in your preferred folder, and make sure the format is a JPEG. This option right here is not important right now, but this will help us size our project when we're done and export it as a finalized background. But for now, just go ahead and hit OK. Now go to YouTube and click on the Themes and Color tab, and go to Show Advanced Options. Now we're going to go to Background Image, choose File. Once the template is uploaded, you can zoom in and out of the page to see how the template looks. Note that I have my screen resolution set fairly high at 1440 x 900. I feel this resolution works best for me, and that is the resolution in which I have designed my channel background. The background will also display at higher resolutions, such as 1680 x 1050. However, at lower resolutions, the background will not display properly. For instance, at 1280 by 800, the sides of the background will be cut off. Just keep this in mind when designing your background. I expect most people to have their screen resolution set to higher ratios, therefore our background will display properly on their screens. Now let's take a look at how the two colors correspond to the two levels of zoom. To zoom in and out of a web page, you hit Ctrl and plus or minus on your keyboard, or just hold down Ctrl and zoom in and out using your mouse wheel. The same trick works in Photoshop, but you hold down Alt instead of Control. The closer zoom setting displays in the red color. This is the level at which I have designed my page. I feel this is the best setting because if you zoom too far out, it will be difficult to read the channel information as well as navigate the channel page. However, for the sake of being thorough, I have included the guidelines for an additional zoom out. Now you can see both the red and yellow guidelines. But pay attention to how the channel information is getting a little more difficult to read. Therefore, I suggest sticking to the red guidelines, but it's up to you. If we do one more zoom out, you can see the black bars on the sides. This color is the YouTube background color, which can be selected in the General heading. Now let's look at the template so I can explain a few things. To the right we see the layers. Each of the black boxes corresponds to one of these layers, which I have labeled accordingly. So we can see the title box corresponds to the very top box. The video box is this one. The video description or info box, playlist, and so on. As for the info column and the comment section, I have extended these all the way down to the bottom. The current length of the template is the greatest possible length you can have in a YouTube channel background. If you extend the background any further than this, it will not display properly. For example, if you hit Ctrl, Alt, and C and try to increase the height, it would not work. So do not touch these settings. These are very important to keep as they are. So just keep within the confines that I have already provided to you. You can see on my channel that I have a long description, and then at the end I display my channel recommendations. The length of my description extends the page to its maximal length. Therefore, I have designed my channel around the length of my channel description. If you have a shorter channel description, or you prefer a different module layout, then you will need to modify your info box and the comment sections accordingly. Because the length of comments can vary, sometimes the comments do not fill out the whole length of the column, or sometimes they can extend too far. Just keep this in mind and how you plan to arrange your modules as you modify the length of the column info and comment section. In order to find out how long you will need to make your info column, you'll just need to go by trial and error. But once we start adding graphics to the background, we can see where exactly the text lines up and how to adjust our column length. So now I'm going to do a little photoshopping. First of all, I'm going to get rid of these guidelines. So now I have a matted background image. Within your template, you'll also find a layer called Stars. This star layer is what I use in my personal background, and you can choose to use it if you like. On a darker background such as this, we can no longer see the boxes. However, I have included some effects within your layers, and you can choose to use them or not. In order to use them, go to this little effects icon and click to the side, and you can see that the effects are now turned on. To see what effects I use, double-click the layer, and then you can see here that I have the outer glow turned on, and I've used that at about 21 pixels. And I've done this to every single box. I personally like to have the outer glow, but if that is something that you do not want to have around your boxes, you're free to turn it off here. If you do not want to have a black box, you can change the color. Go to Color Overlay, double-click, and go to the color section, and now you can pick whatever color you want. I've added the outer glow to every one of the boxes, so now I'm going to turn it all on at this time. I've also added a glow to the icon. This square perfectly fits what your YouTube icon will look like, so when you upload it to your channel page, this is what you'll see. So when you see your YouTube channel, you'll find a little halo around your icon. And I've also added a slight glow to the thank you, which we can modify at this time. Go into the arrow, double click, outer glow, and we're going to change the outer glow to like kind of a bluish, a light blue. And we're going to do the same to thank you. Now an additional feature I added to my page is making this little title box up here have a star background as well. This is not too difficult to do, and I can show you how to do that really quick. So what we're going to do is go down to the star background, and I'm just going to copy it and bring this copied star layer background all the way to the top. So now this takes precedence over all the other layers. I'm going to turn that off for the time being. Select my magic wand. Select within inside the title box. Make sure that title box layer is selected. Then turn back on the layer, the star layer that we made a copy of. Right click, hit layer via cut. Delete the old star layer, and now you have a star background. Now what we can also do is just go ahead and add an outer glow to this as well. So what I've done is I retitled that layer, title box stars, and then I've turned off the old title box. So now we're going to start adding pictures in and try to fill out some of this. But for the time being, I'm going to turn back on the guidelines, and I'm only going to add images up to the red guideline here. The images I'm going to either fade out slightly or just cut them off. I haven't decided yet, but I'm not going to fill up this space. That way, when I turn the background off, we're only going to have the images up to here, and then the rest is just going to be stars. and I think that will add kind of a nice effect. Within my working YouTube background folder, I have a collection of pictures. And here I have my left column and my right column and then some extra images. So we're going to work on the left column first. And what I've done is I've titled them and numbered them in the order that I want to use them. So we're going to open up the first one. Now this is a picture of Aquarius pouring water. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm going to try to keep them in order. So now I'm going to resize him and get him over to the side here. So now that I kind of have him lined up where I want, I'm going to go around the borders with the eraser and kind of fade out some of these edges. And what we can also do is we'll just turn this layer off and kind of have the stars up so we can see how this blends. And we're going to make this kind of just a slight blend right here. Then it will look like each one of these is sort of fading out to the side when we zoom out a little bit on our background. As I add new layers to this list, I want to make sure the most recent layers that I add are above the last layers that I've added. So this layer is going to take precedence over this one, and they're going to kind of overlap in that fashion. And I also try to rename the layers so I can keep track of who is who. And just as a reminder, the way I'm resizing this is I'm hitting Control and then T. If you go here to Edit, and then you see that the free transform is Control T. And then I'm just kind of lining this up here to where I think it should go. So I'm going to just keep adding photos on down the line, and when I get to a good stopping point, I'll give some more commentary. Alright, so I'm back now, and what I've done is taken these 20 to 21 or so images, and I've imported them into Photoshop, and I've gone down here on the side, and I've sort of cropped them and blended them, feathered the edges so they kind of all blend together. Now at the very end, I've extended this info column a little bit longer. So I've gone to the info column and I hit Control T, and I've just transformed the info column to about the very end here. So now I'm going to export this to YouTube and see how it looks in relation to the text that I have in my info column. So remember to save it as a JPEG, and I'm just going to name it Z for now. Okay. And if we hit Control and zoom back, we can see now that there's stars here, and this edge is kind of feathered. But if we zoom in, it looks like it's pretty nicely cropped here. So you can have either styles. If someone is viewing the page and it's zoomed out, they're going to kind of get this starry background in the back, or it's going to be nice and cropped here on the edge. And as we can see here, that this lines up pretty well. And I'm just going to remove this little edge here so it kind of looks like it's just fading out into black. And we're going to leave this background here black. So I might try to feather out some of this. And what I also might do is feather out this edge so it looks like the stars kind of fade to black over this side. Because it looks like there's sort of a hard edge here. And I want that to kind of be faded out and kind of feathered. So I'm going to go back into Photoshop and see how to do that.